Hi everyone, Trina here, and we're going to pick up with the angelic origins of the soul. And before I started to dive into the reading, I wanted to just kind of do like a basic, like a kind of catch-all of kind of what we've covered, and we've covered many of the different belief systems: Vedic, Native American. Um, we're getting ready to go into the Greek and the demigods and ancient Egypt. So when you look at all of these different belief systems from our past, it seems that there's a common theme amongst them, that we have none of this theme in our new religions. Some of them have them, like Hindu and Indian. They believe in reincarnation, and they believe in stuff like that. But our Christian Western American faiths, they've seemed to leave all of the belief systems of the ancients. We're not observing any of those belief systems, which was, more balanced with the masculine and the feminine being the spirit, the Holy Spirit, working together. So it seems like a lot of this knowledge has been lost to us, and specifically, all of these religions seem to have a belief in life after death, a belief in some type of self-responsibility and self-accountability when you die. And all of them seem to have some type of a afterlife path that they speak of within their doctrines. And we don't have any of that other than the, heaven or hell thing. But like Egypt talks about layers and levels of hell and the underworlds. And all of these religions seem to have a lot of the similar, structure of their belief systems. And it seems that we've lost a lot of the belief systems in the older religions, which had almost just as much, if not more, to do with the importance of the soul and the spirit and what happens after you die. So I think this information that we're starting to get into and starting to investigate and learn is going to be very important for our soul's growth and evolution as a spiritual being. So the more I'm looking at this stuff, and from the stuff I was shown when I was a child about different levels and layers of heaven and all of these different things, so much of what I was shown is in this book here. So it's really awesome to be able to find somebody who shares a belief system that resonates on so many levels that mine did. And the funniest part was a lot of these systems that I was shown a big body, and that I was part of a big body in the cosmos. I saw so many of these concepts that I'd never had any references to. So I'd never been exposed to the Brahma and Krishna and Vedic religion and Hindu, and I had no exposure to any of these things. So it's quite profound, as I'd been working with my spirit guide, which was the Lord, my whole life, and he was educating me about how the Bible was talking about the body, and the Bible was talking about psychology, and the Bible was talking about science, and he would explain things to me in a very different way. And I read a lot of these ancient texts and a lot of these things now as an adult, and it's amazing because so many of the concepts are in these teachings. So it's a neat confirmation for me, because I've kind of done a lot of my own spiritual seeking on my own, and to come into an adult and to start reading a lot of this stuff and start learning about a lot of these ancient systems, and to see that I was being shown the same thing as a child, and I had no religious indoctrination. I was Christian, I went to church once in a while, went to church camp, whatever, but I never went to church every Sunday. I worked every Sunday for the first 9 years of my life, from the time I was 18 until whenever, do the math, 28. So, yeah, I worked Sundays for years, and I worked Wednesday nights. I was always in college, so there wasn't time for church for me for a lot of years as well. So, with that, I didn't have the exposure that a lot of people do to the Bible, and like my belief systems of heaven are different than a lot of other people's belief system. My belief system of the Lord Jesus Christ is a lot different than most people, because the being I know is that the Lord never called himself Jesus. I never heard anybody call him Jesus, but he looks like the being Jesus. So, not identical, but pretty darn close. And the clothing, I think it's the clothing that makes it so similar, because always the white garment, you know? So that's probably a part of it. But this being to me was never one of worship. He was always like a big brother and family, and never gave me bad advice. So with that, he was a very beautiful spirit guide. I've had him my whole life, and like I said, I can't say one bad thing about it. The only thing I will say is that there's other beings that will try to come into your presence, and they'll say that they're him. So it's kind of strange. It's like almost like you'd have to be able to know how to identify identical twins. Because these things come up, and they look just like them, talk just like them, show just like them, and they're spiritual entities, and they can take any form they want. So you have to know how to use discernment, and you have to learn how to trust your guts. If you for 1 second think that something's not right, don't question it. Just say, something doesn't feel right. I'll talk to y'all later. Because these beings, the more tuned in you get, the more they want to talk. And the more they want to have influence over you, because they can communicate to you. So a lot of people, they can't. So the ones that they can, they like that. So they like to be able to interact sometimes. So you need to learn boundaries and discernment before you start dabbing into any spiritual practices. Make sure you're very solid and sound within your own heart and your own center before you do any of these things. And I think now we'll start to get into some of the... Oh, also, too, I wanted to mention, too, on Wayne's today, they were talking about spirit, and there was questions going on about spirit and if we have spirit. And, you know, my whole life I've been shown that there was another me existing in the realm with this being called the Lord. And I'm always up there with him. I'm here as well, but I'm always up there with him. And I don't know how, but when I was little, it was very easy for me just to literally close my eyes, and I could be in that realm. And then all I would do was say, Lord, and literally he would just be there. It was instant. Sometimes I would just close my eyes, and all of a sudden I was just there. Like I didn't even realize I was going to go. And that's when he would instruct me or tell me something. So I always had a relationship with my invisible friend since the time I was a little kid, and mine just happens to be the being known as the Lord. And I don't know if the name is Jesus, because that was never given to me, but this is who he looks like. So and he was a wonderful, magnificent being, but he's not like he's portrayed in the Bible either. He's not this gentle dove. He is just like you and I. He has a temper. He gets upset. He is loving. He is frustrated. Frustrated with his teachings and how they've been turned, and he's frustrated with a lot of things. But yeah, so I can literally tell the difference between the Lord and imposters only because I have such a profound relationship with this being, and I have my whole life. But I will tell you, they have sent in deceivers, copycats, to portray as him. And when I realized too that I was spending most of my time inquiring and seeking guidance from this being, at one point in my life, I was reading the Ten Commandments, and it talks about thou shalt have no God before me, and thou shalt worship no false idols. And when I saw that, I'd read it a few times before, but when I read it this time, all of a sudden I realized that I was doing that with my spirit guide codependency, because I was realizing that I was going to the Lord for everything and asking Him when I had questions, and I was going to this being for a lot of things. And one other time I had been in the upper realms with Him, and there was a higher being. I'm pretty sure this is the being that He would have been referring to as the Father. And this being, it does have a masculine presence, and it's enormous. I mean, enormous. And it can manifest if it wants to, and it manifests as kind of like the white bearded God on the throne, kind of like the Santa Claus God, which might be Father Time Saturn. I'm not sure. But this being can manifest, and I've seen it manifest a couple times, so I know it's not the creator of all. But it seems that this thing is definitely over this Lord, and it's definitely, it's over you. So it's a very powerful thing. So I realized that, okay, if this other throne God thing, if that wasn't the creator, because I knew it wasn't, because I knew everybody knows. Like when you're in the spirit realm, everybody knows. Like everybody knows that there's God. But God is not what you think it is. God is a source energy of consciousness that is in everything. So you can't comprehend God. You can't comprehend the creator. It's too vast. It's too big. And everybody just has an understanding, like it's a knowing. You don't need to be taught, you know. So, but there are different levels of gods. Like there's levels and layers of God, because my definition of God is a being that is connected more to their wholeness of who they are, so they have more consciousness, they're more intelligent, usually they're much larger, and usually they can take on any form they want to. So this is my definition of God, and there are many gods, and there are many layers and levels of gods. And that took me a long time to learn and a long time to process, because my belief system was there was one God. It was monotheistic, just like we were taught in Christianity. And that was seeded into my consciousness. And it is still, but it's just so much bigger. So much bigger. And this thing is so big that it's in everything. So you can't comprehend the size of this creation point, which would be source, the creator of all that is, and it's in everything. So it's beyond amazing how big it is and how beautiful it is, and to know that you carry a piece of that intelligence within your being is the greatest gift ever, because you literally, with that God spark that's within you, you are literally a God, but you're a little spark of God. You'll never be source, but you're a part of it. So that spark, that spirit, that's Father. And the Holy Spirit, the mother, the water, the womb, the manifested, that's the manifested in matter, that's Mom. So soul is your connection to the earth. It's all of the senses. It's the ego. It's a lot of the subconscious mind. And Father is the divine aspect that gives you breath. It animates the flesh. It animates the soul. It animates. It gives life. So it's life. So the Father is like the pulse or the spark or the breath. And that would be the spirit. And then the soul is in essence, it's a body. So when you come into a soul, your soul is, it's eternal, and it can merge with other bodies. So like when you came into earth, your spirit and soul came into the soul construct of the earth. So your body matches the earth. Your magnetics match the earth. Your physicality and vibration match the earth. You breathe the right things here on earth, so your body won't die. You're basically, your soul overlay has been programmed into earth, into the beast system, because it's matter, it's dense, and it's an animal-based, plant-based, mineral-based existence in third dimension. So this is a lower level of creation. It's not one of the higher vibrations. So this one's pretty low vibrating, and it's pretty dense, and that's why it gives you the extremes of highs and lows. It's because it's the law of all creation. As high as you can go is as low as you can go. So the higher the vibration, the lower the opposite is going to be reflecting in polarity. And this system is dualistic in its nature, and it exists in polarity and entropy. So the third dimension existence is it's polarity and entropy, which means it's a death system. So when I started to look at the truth of the physical body and how it typically lasts about 100 years, and then I'm reading in the Bible that our lives were shortened, it just made so much sense to me that yes, we've been modified. I saw modifications happening. So our lifespans have been shortened. We've been brought into a construct where we only live a very short amount of time. And that, I think, was done against the original plan. Because if we were able to live 1,000 years, we would reach a level of awareness that would be far superior to what we can do in, 60 to 100 years on average for the human now. So much of what we were has been stripped, and we were given perfect genetics, but we modified them, I think, eons of time ago. We were given perfect genetics, and somehow either we were tricked or we voluntarily modified our genetics. And with that I think might have been another level of falling. So we went even deeper and darker and denser into this human construct, where we were losing more of our awareness and our connection to soul and spirit and the Christ. When all three are activated, you become enlightened, and it literally puts you in a different vibration, and you can hear God again. And this is what they don't want. They don't want y'all hearing God again, because God's within you. And it's literally as simple as elevating your vibration so you can communicate to your family, which is, in all actuality, it's all of creation, which is pretty big. So stick to the ancestors. It might be a little bit easier. And I've always been shown, too, that we have an angelic family. And either they're our guardians or they're literally our higher selves. And I don't know which, but I've seen this so many times. And I've literally been shown, like, the Russian dolls where you have the doll inside the doll, inside the doll, inside the doll. I've seen that. And when I see it done in 3, the highest one is an angelic being. And then I see a very large, like, kind of copy of you beneath that. And then beneath that, I see the soul, spirit, merged light body that forms your human physical body. So, like, it starts from the human, it has an energy body. From the energy body, you see like a higher self. And from the higher self, you see the angelic oversoul. And I guess that would be the best word I could use for it, would be an angelic oversoul. So, your layers deep into consciousness, and consciousness is God. So your layers deep in consciousness, and the third dimension is one layer of consciousness. Within your human body at this point in time, you now have the ability to, through meditation, through just, relaxing, focusing, taking time to sleep and dream, because you can access a lot of this information in dream time. This is how you start to connect to your own higher self in your own family, your own spirit guides, your own spiritual guardians, because there was a team assigned to you for you to come in this incarnation, and you would be guided your entire time while you were here, but only if you can listen. Most people can't hear. They can't hear anymore because they don't pay attention to those subtle nudges, those little signs. Spirit usually talks real soft. So you really have to pay attention to all the signs around you, from a song on the radio to those really weird coincidences. If anything usually comes at you 3 times in 3 different ways, usually that means that's a very important message. You should pay attention to that. If you have a dream about the same thing, like 3 times the same thing, or you have a dream about something and you see something on TV, and then somebody at work or something talks about the same thing, pay attention to those things, because that's how spirit kind of talks through the matrix to you. So all these little signals we're getting all the time, and in your family and your support system in spirit, because they're not here, and they could be here, because even when we're here, our identical is above in the higher realms. It never leaves. So with that, we're all kind of together up there anyways. And I know that's kind of hard to relate to, and that took me a while too, but I literally have seen that we are literally together up there trying to help your body and your experience down in this realm. But the thing is, it's like we're deaf, dumb, and blind. It's very hard for us to hear them, because their vibration is so high, we can't hear it or see it or perceive it. So this is the opening of the third eye. This is the telepathic communication. This is the clairvoyant communications. These are the abilities that we need to start to reawaken, because we all have them, and we all were born with them, and we all had them when we were children. So as time goes on, you just lose the ability to communicate. But it does not mean that it's gone, and it does not mean it cannot be activated, because it's just like any other muscle in the body. If you don't use it, you lose it. But if you start to meditate, start to quiet your mind, and just start to pay attention to what you feel, trust your imagination, let your mind wander. Children have a mind of wonder, because it wanders, and they imagine. And the imagination is just the ability to create pictures in their mind matching a vibration either they're creating or they're receiving. And we can do the same thing. So let your mind wander. If you can't still your mind, really focus on your breath and intentionally breathe in and hold it for 3 seconds, and then release it and count. See how long it takes you to exhale. And then breathe in deeper and hold it and let it out. And just do that a few times, because that will bring you into the present through the counting, through the focus of the breath. And you're focusing on the heart region. You're focusing on your own internal systems. So this is a really good way to help you slow down, still your mind, and just start to see what comes in around you. Trust me. And when you start doing this and you start doing it more and more, you'll get more and more information. And you will start getting stronger and sharper and more, you'll tune into those higher frequencies a lot easier. So I see all you guys doing amazing things, amazing work, trying new things, trying to learn. And all of us are basically trying to find the same thing, which is the truth about God and the truth about what we are. And I think we're on the right track, because we are much more than we've been allowed to know. And it looks like all of the ancient religions, they all had an awareness of this, and they all practiced the belief system that there would be, you will be dealing with what you create in this realm, in the realm after, when you die. So you're going to be processing what you created here and what you did here, and nobody's going to be judging you but you. You're going to be the one that's going to be like, oh, I wished I could have done better, or I know I could have done better. You're going to be the one who's going to be judging you. So make sure that you understand what it is you need to learn to fall in love with about yourself, what it is you need to work on forgiving yourself. Because the more you can do that, the faster you're going to shift your vibration. And because those are like weights, and they hold down our frequency, and they hold down our vibration. And when you heal them, it like cuts them loose, and you literally, your vibration raises. And the fastest way to do that is to heal. And the fastest way to heal is to do the work of babysitting what you think about, because our thoughts create our feelings. And what you feel about, you will bring about, because the magnetic center comes from the heart. This is where you manifest from. It is from the heart. So what you think about, you create that frequency through the heart. And then you send it out, and the universe has to bring it back. So this is how the Torah works. This is how the Torah field works. And we are all sitting within our own individual Torah, an earth Torah, solar system Torah, cosmic Torah. That's where we get the cosmic egg. It's literally a living field of information. So we are all sitting in different fields of information. And the ability for us to have our own Torah field is the ability, that's why we are literally conscious creators. I mean, we're not just consciousness. Everything here is conscious. But we are conscious creators. We literally have input over everything around us, and we affect everything around us. So what you feel about, you will bring about. And also, too, be careful what you feel about other people, because literally, whether you want to or not, as soon as you have a thought about somebody and you have a feeling, that is being sent to them. And you will be held accountable for yourself on what you felt and thought about other people. So, like I said, this stuff gets kind of really deep, and it really makes you kind of look at your own behaviors and your own thoughts and your own everything, because I don't think it's going to be just as easy as you die and go to heaven. I think there's a lot more to this, and I think ones of us who can figure that out and start to work on the things that we would want to work on now before we die, I think that's going to be the greatest gift you will ever give to yourself. So, obviously I didn't get to read to you tonight, but I will read to you maybe a little bit later, and if not, I'm going to try to tomorrow morning before wanes. So I will see you on the Steiger Hour of Power tomorrow at a second look. And much love to you all. Have a wonderful night. Namaste. And talk to you soon. Bye-bye.